Hello, English 12 college prep classes. It is 10:06 in the morning. I just had my Frosted Flakes. They were delicious, as you might guess. My kitchen is clean. My dishwasher is going, and I'm going to get into Act 3, Scenes 3 through 6 of Macbeth. And so, yeah, I'll read it and talk about it a little bit and hopefully help you get prepared for taking the quiz over Act 3. And after that, you will have fulfilled your obligations for this class, for the time being, of course, but then you get to enjoy your spring break. Though you're already kind of on it, aren't you? Anyway, okay, so where we left off. Macbeth was plotting for Banquo's murder because, of course, he's going to have to cover up his crimes. He knows that Banquo suspects him of Duncan's murder, and he has hired two people. Well, not hired them. He's convinced these two probably dumb peasants to commit this crime for him. At the last minute, you might remember, he also convinced them that they're going to need to kill Fleance, Banquo's son. And we know, though he hasn't told these guys this, but we know that the reason why he wants Fleance dead is so that there will be no chance then of Banquo being father to a line of kings, as the witch's prophecy foretold. The last scene, scene 2, was a conversation between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and Lady Macbeth doesn't know the specifics. She doesn't really even know. She maybe can suspect, but she doesn't know that Macbeth is planning to kill Banquo. In fact, Macbeth tells her, "Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed." So the roles have shifted a little bit from Lady Macbeth being the driving force behind Duncan's murder to now Macbeth being the driving force, the one solely responsible, well, other than the two murderers, for Banquo and Fleance's deaths. Now, so we're picking up with Act 3, Scene 3. The synopsis says, a third man joins the two whom Macbeth has already sent to kill Banquo and Fleance. It's not really explained why that is, but yeah, so there's three of them. The three assassins manage to kill Banquo. Fleance escapes. All right, so there's a little twist right there. Okay, so here we go, Scene 3. We're on page 95. Oh, wait, that doesn't make any difference to you because you don't have the book, but you can follow along with the link that I sent you. So, Scene 3, enter three murderers, and this is the conversation between them. But who did bid thee join with us? Macbeth. He needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our offices and what we have to do to the direction just. Then stand with us. The west yet glimmers with some streaks of day. Now spur the lated traveller apace and gain the timely inn, and near approaches the subject of our watch. Hark, I hear horses. So now Banquo off stage. It says Banquo, the stage direction says within. He's calling for his son to light a torch. He says, "Give us a light there, ho!" So they hear him. So the murderers are saying, "Then 'tis he. The rest that are within the court of expectation already are in the court." His horses go about. Almost a mile, but he does usually, so all men do, from hence to the palace gate make it their walk. Enter Banquo and Fleance with a torch. So probably the murderers are going to be on one side of the stage, Banquo and Fleance entering from the other side of the stage. They don't see the murderers yet. The murderers say, a light, 'tis he, stand to it." And now we hear Banquo on the other side saying, "It will be rain tonight," like just commenting on the weather. Now this big dramatic showdown where the murderers jump out, and so after Banquo says, "It will be rain tonight," the first murderer says, "Let it come down." The three murderers attack. Now, this isn't written into the script, it's just kind of implied that there's going to be kind of a battle scene here, that they are attacking Banquo and Fleance. So there's going to be some action there on the stage. And Banquo is screaming out, not for himself, but for his son, of course. He says, "Oh, treachery! Fly, good Fleance, fly, fly, fly! Thou mayest revenge! Oh, slave!" I don't know why he says, "Oh, slave." I don't know why that's the last thing that he says. I don't know exactly what that means. But he dies, Fleance exits. The third murderer says, "Who did strike out the light? Was it not the way? There's but one down. The sun has fled. We have lost best half our affair. Well, let's away and say how much is done." So they're basically like, well, the kid got away. Should we chase after him? Nah, let's just go and talk to Macbeth and tell him what we did. They exit, end of the scene. So now we go on to scene 4. And here's the synopsis for this. This is an important scene here, by the way. As Macbeth's banquet begins, one of Banquo's murderers appears at the door to tell Macbeth of Banquo's death and Fleance's escape. Returning to the table, Macbeth is confronted by Banquo's ghost, invisible to all but Macbeth. Now, this would be, of course, a place where a director would need to make a serious choice. Does he actually show the actor portraying Banquo, covered in blood now, appearing as a ghost? Or does he just have the actor portraying Macbeth react to what he thinks he sees? Because, of course, if we see the ghost along with Macbeth, then that would seem to indicate that we are supposed to believe that there are actual ghosts, and not just Macbeth losing his mind because he is so racked by guilt. While Lady Macbeth is able to dismiss as a momentary fit Macbeth's expressions of horror at the ghost's first appearance, the reappearance of the ghost and Macbeth's outcries in response to it force Lady Macbeth to send all the guests away. Alone with Lady Macbeth, Macbeth resolves to meet the witches again. He foresees a future marked by further violence. So scene 4, a banquet is prepared. Enter Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Ross, Lennox, lords, and attendants. Macbeth is standing at the head of the table. Everybody's kind of uneasy now because I think a lot of people probably suspect Macbeth at this point, but of course he's the king now, so they have to essentially just be good servants. So Macbeth says, "You know your own degrees. Sit down. At first and last, the hearty welcome." They all say, "Thanks to your majesty." Now Macbeth is trying to be this gracious host and saying, acting like this is a good party, but of course there's kind of just this weird undercurrent that everything he does seems a little forced, like he's overcompensating for something. "Ourself will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state, but in best time we will require her welcome. Pronounce it for me, sir, to all our friends, for my heart speaks they are welcome." Now we see the first murderer coming to the door, or coming on stage. Macbeth doesn't see him yet. "See, they encounter thee with their hearts' thanks. Both sides are even. Here, I'll sit in the midst. Be large in mirth. Anon we'll drink a measure, the table round." And it's at this point that he notices the murderer, walks over to him, and says, "There's blood upon thy face." Like, what are you doing showing up at my house with blood on your face? The murderer says, "'Tis Banquo's then." Now Macbeth is, somewhat happy. "'Tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched?" "My lord, his throat is cut. That I did for him." "Thou art the best of the cutthroats." "Yet he's good that did the like for Fleance. If thou didst it, thou art the nonpareil." "Most royal sir, Fleance has escaped." Now this says Macbeth aside. "Then comes my fit again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, and broad and general as the casing air. But now I'm cabined, cribbed, confined, bound in to saucy doubts and fears." "But Banquo's safe?" "Aye, my good lord, safe in a ditch he bides, with 20 trenched gashes on his head, the least a death to nature." Oh, thanks for that. "There the grown serpent lies. The worm that's fled hath nature that in time will venom breed, no teeth for the present. Get thee gone. Tomorrow we'll hear ourselves again." The murderer exits. The guests are noticing that Macbeth is not at the table like he says he's going to be. Lady Macbeth approaches him and says, "My royal lord, you do not give the cheer. The feast is so that is not often vouched while 'tis a-making. 'Tis given with welcome. To feed were best at home, from thence the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it." Enter the ghost of Banquo and sits in Macbeth's place. That is the stage direction. If the director is going to have an actual Banquo coming on stage. But Macbeth does not notice him right away, and I should also mention that, of course, nobody else sees this. "Sweet remembrancer, now, good digestion wait on appetite, and health on both." Lennox says, "May it please your highness sit. Here had we now our country's honour roofed, were the graced person of our Banquo present, whom may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance." Like he's saying, "Oh, too bad that Banquo didn't show up." Ross says, "His absence, sir, lays blame upon his promise. Please it your highness to grace us with your royal company." Macbeth says the table's full. Because, of course, to him it does appear that the table's full, because from the back, where he's standing, he sees all these people seated at the table. He doesn't see a seat for himself, because the seat that's empty is the seat that Banquo's ghost sits in, but only he sees it. Lennox says, "Here's a place reserved, sir." "Where?" "Here, my good lord." Now, after he says that, that's when Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost, and you will just see it on his face, this look of terror, and Lennox notices and says, "What is it that moves your highness?" Now Macbeth is absolutely freaking out, pointing at the ghost, saying, "Which of you have done this?" "What, my good lord?" Now Macbeth saying directly to the ghost, "Thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me." "Gentlemen, rise, his highness is not well." "Sit, worthy friends. My lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. Pray you, keep seat. The fit is momentary. Upon a thought he will again be well. If much you note him, you shall offend him and extend his passion. Feed and regard him not." So Lady Macbeth's response initially to Macbeth freaking out is to say, no, just sit, it'll be over soon. If you draw too much attention to it, that'll make it worse. Now she draws Macbeth aside. And here's something for your notes on masculinity. Notice that she doesn't say something like, "Are you okay?" But instead she says, "Are you a man?" Interesting, huh? "Are you a man? Aye, and a bold one that dare look on that which might appall the devil." And Lady Macbeth responds not with any kind of sympathy, but essentially to say, it's just because you're feeling guilty, that you're seeing things that aren't there, much in the same way that you saw the dagger supposedly leading you to Duncan's room. "Oh, proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. Oh, these flaws and starts. Impostors to true fear would well become a woman's story at a winter's fire, authorized by her grandam." Again, something for your notes there, that what she says to him essentially is that he's acting like a scared little girl. "Shame itself, why do you make such faces? When all's done, you look but on a stool. Prithee, see that? Behold, look! Lo, how say you?" "Why, what care I? If thou canst nod, speak too. If charnel houses and our graves must send those that we bury back, our monuments shall be the maws of kites." Now the ghost exits. "What, quite unmanned in folly? If I stand here, I saw him." "Fie, for shame. Blood hath been shared ere now. In the olden time, ere humane statute purged the gentle weal. Aye, and since 2 murderers have been performed too terrible for the ear." He's trying to make sense out of all this that he just saw. "The time has been that when the brains were out, the man would die, and there an end. But now they rise again with 20 mortal murders on their crowns and push us from our stools. This is more strange than such a murder is." Now he's doing all this like in front of a room full of people. And so Lady Macbeth is kind of trying to draw him back and kind of salvage the evening. "My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you." And so now that kind of snaps Macbeth back to reality. I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. I have a strange infirmity, which is nothing to those that know me. That's really dumb. Like, oh, don't freak out, friends. Those that know me just know that this is just a thing I do once in a while. Oh, crazy old Macbeth, seeing ghosts again. Come, love and health to all. Then I'll sit down, give me some wine, fill full. So just as he's starting to pull himself back together, the ghost comes back. He doesn't notice the ghost right away. I drink to the general joy of the whole table, and to our dear friend Banquo whom we miss. Would he were here! To all and him we thirst, and all to all. Our duties and the pledge. They raise their drinking cups. They're all going to toast, and it's at that moment that this is when Macbeth sees the ghost again, and this is his ultimate freak out. I'm not going to scream because I think my kids are still in bed, but he would be like really, really upset and say, "Avaunt and quit my sight! Let the earth hide thee! Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with." Lady Macbeth still trying to keep things together. Think of this, good peers, but as a thing of custom. And what a strange thing to say. It's kind of like what Macbeth was just saying, it's nothing to those that know me. And she's saying, like, it's just a custom. It's a thing. 'Tis no other, only it spoils the pleasure of the time. Macbeth's still speaking to the ghost. What man dare, I dare. Approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, or the Hircan tiger. Take any shape but that, and my firm nerve shall never tremble. Or be alive again, and dare me to the desert with thy sword. If trembling I inhabit, then protest me the baby of a girl. Hence, horrible shadow! Unreal mockery, hence! The ghost exits. Why so? Being gone, I am a man again. Again, there's the use of that language. A real man, of course, isn't afraid of anything. Even the ghost of, the person you just had murdered. I am a man again. Pray you, sit still. There's no going back from that now, though. So even Lady Macbeth has to acknowledge this. You have displaced the mirth, broke the good meeting with most admired disorder. Can such things be, and overcome us like a summer's cloud without our special wonder? You make me strange, even to the disposition that I owe, when now I think you can behold such sights, and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks when mine is blanched with fear. Like he thinks that everybody just saw what he saw. What sights, my lord? I pray you, speak not. He grows worse and worse. Question enrages him. At once, good night. Stand not upon the order of your going, but go at once. Good night, and better health attend his majesty. So they're all going to leave now, and on the way out they're going to be like, "Gee, can you believe that? What just happened? He's a crazy person. Our king is crazy." Lady Macbeth says, "A kind good night to all." Lords and all but Macbeth and Lady Macbeth exit. And here's a reference to blood, also a very famous line. It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. Stones have been known to move, and trees to speak. Augurs and understood relations have by maggot pies and choughs and rooks brought forth the secretest man of blood. What is the night? Almost at odds with morning, which is which. So it's right about midnight now. And it's now that Macbeth, in coming back to his senses, realizes there was one important guest who was not at their feast tonight. How sayest thou the Macduff denies his person at our great bidding? He recognizes that Macduff not being there is significant. And as we know, Macduff is one of the main people who are suspicious of Macbeth. So much so that he's not even going to pretend and play the game and show up at the party. How sayest that Macduff denies his person at our great bidding? Did you send to him, sir? I hear it by the way, but I will send. There's not a one of them, but in his house I keep a servant fed. I will tomorrow, and betimes I will, to the weird sisters. More shall they speak, for now I am bent to know, by the worst means the worst. For mine own good, all causes shall give way. I am in blood stepped in so far, that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go over. Strange things I have in head that will to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanned. You lack the season of all natures, sleep. Lady Macbeth still isn't believing that he's seen anything real. She's saying, you're exhausted. You haven't slept. This is why your head's not right. Come, will to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that once hard use. We are yet but young indeed. To say we are yet but young indeed is essentially to say time heals all wounds. We just did this, no wonder I'm freaking out. Give it some time, I'll be all right. But I'm not sure he really even believes what he's saying. Okay, now the next scene is a really... I don't like this scene because I don't believe that Shakespeare wrote it. This play is 400 years old. It's been performed a number of times. Various changes have been made here and there. This was, I believe, a change that was made long enough ago. It may have even been during Shakespeare's lifetime still, or shortly after he died, I don't know. But there are a couple of scenes in here that a lot of people don't believe Shakespeare actually wrote because they they absolutely make it clear that demons and ghosts are real, because here in the next scene we actually have Hecate, remember Hecate, one of the witch's familiars, actually appearing as a character and speaking, which I don't think that Shakespeare did. I think that Shakespeare was trying to keep that question, that ambiguity of whether or not what we're seeing is real or if this is an actual product of the supernatural or just the product of Macbeth losing his mind. Another reason why a lot of people think that this scene was not written by Shakespeare is that it just doesn't sound like him. It doesn't sound like the rest of the play, and the tone is totally off. So the synopsis says, the presentation of the witches in this scene differs from their presentation in the rest of the play. Most editors and scholars believe that neither this scene nor the passages in Act 4, Scene 1 were written by Shakespeare. So Scene 5, thunder enter the three witches meeting Hecate. Why, how now, Hecate? You look angrily. And all this stuff that Hecate's going to say, I'll read through it rather quickly, but it's just dumb. And essentially what Hecate is saying is, yeah, I'm mad because here you all are having all this fun with Macbeth and you didn't call upon me to join in. Have I not reason, beldams as you are, saucy and overbold? How did you dare to trade and traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death? And I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part, or show the glory of our art. And which is worse, all you have done hath been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. I'm not even going to read the rest of it. It's just dumb. It sounds like Dr. Seuss, doesn't it? Yeah, blah. Okay, so the end of the scene then, it ends with like music and a song. Like Hecate exits and sings this come away song. It's dumb. So, unnecessary. Let's go to Scene 6. Lennox and an unnamed lord discuss politics in Scotland. Lennox comments sarcastically upon Macbeth's official versions of the many recent violent deaths. The nameless lord responds with news of Macduff's flight to England and to seek help in overthrowing Macbeth. Okay, so we learn that important information, that Macduff was not at the party because he's actually gone to England to try to get England's help to overthrow Macbeth. So he is full on a traitor now. Scene 6, enter Lennox and another lord. My former speeches have but hit your thoughts, which can interpret farther, only I say things have been strangely born. Now, I just told you he's going to sound very sarcastic here. The gracious Duncan was pitied of Macbeth. Marry, he was dead. And the right valiant Banquo walked too late, whom you may say, if it please you, Fleance killed, for Fleance fled. So, it's just kind of making fun of the official story. The official story, of course, being that Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's sons, had the king killed. And evidence of that is that they fled after his death. And so now Lennox is saying, oh, yeah, well, you'll notice that Fleance fled after Banquo's death, so obviously Fleance did it too. Men walk too late, Who could not want the thought how monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father? Damn, in fact, how it did grieve Macbeth. Did he not straight in pious rage the two delinquents tear that were the slaves of drink and thralls of sleep? Was that not nobly done? Ay, and wisely too, for 'twould have angered any heart alive to hear the men deny it. So that I say he has borne all things well, and I do think that had he Duncan's sons under his key, as and please heaven he shall not, they should find what 'twere to kill a father, so should Fleance. But peace. For from broad words, and 'cause he failed his presence at the tyrant's feast, I hear Macduff lives in disgrace. Sir, can you tell where he bestows himself? And this unnamed lord says, the son of Duncan, from whom this tyrant holds the due of birth, lives in the English court, and is received of the most pious Edward with such grace that the malevolence of fortune nothing takes from his high respect. Thither Macduff is gone to pray the holy king upon his aid to wake Northumberland and warlike Seward, that by the help of these, with him above to ratify the work, we may again give to our tables meat, sleep to our nights, free from our feasts and banquets bloody knives, do faithful homage, and receive free honours, all which we pine for now. And this report hath so exasperate the king that he prepares for some attempt of war. Sent he to Macduff? He did, and with an absolute, sir, not I, the cloudy messenger turns me his back and hums, as who should say, you'll rue the time that clogs me with this answer. And that well might advise him to a caution to hold what distance his wisdom can provide. Some holy angel fly to the court of England, and unfold his message ere he come, that a swift blessing may soon return to this our suffering country under a hand accursed. I'll send my prayers with him. So the act ends with a return away from the supernatural of the previous scenes into more of this political story. What's happened, that Macduff has fled to England. He's trying to get this Seward, who's in charge of the British Army, to band his soldiers together to go and overthrow Macbeth. So that is the end of Act 3. I hope you're ready for the quiz. Take that quiz and enjoy your spring break as much as you can. Hope to see you soon.